One of the things that I like to throw in at the end is some negatives. So I'm going to do 5 of the normal static reverse, pause off the chest, and then we're going to do 3 negatives with about a 3 to 5 second down. I'm going to take it all the way down by myself. As soon as it's on there, just pull it straight up.
Yep.
So we'll get 8 total reps.
Do you want me to put it, do you want pulling it back into the start position?
Actually, you can pull it straight up, and I'll rebalance it. That's good.
Yeah.
Again, it sounds crazy, but I like to train for mistakes. So if in a competition I get a less than perfect handout, I like to be able to stabilize and move it down. So many guys, if they don't get that perfect handout, or if they don't get that perfect hand placement, it throws them all out of whack. But for me, if I practice it, not intentionally to mess up, but if by doing certain things like we're doing here, if I'm a little bit off and I learn, I don't freak out on the platform. I react, I calmly move it, and I go about my way.
So how many are you doing?
I'm going to do 5 my normal way, and then we'll do 3.
Okay.
So for her set, she's going to do 6 and 4 where I did 5 and 3. It doesn't sound like very much, and it's really not, but females have such a better tendency to do well with more repetition work. And it is also my belief that most females, not necessarily in this case because she's been training for so long, most females do need a lot more base repetition work in these 60 to 70% ranges. Extend the set a few repetitions further than maybe for a male. What I've seen over time, a female might be able to do 90% for 6 to 7 reps, whereas a male might be able to do it for 2 or 3. So repetition work for females is good as far as base building, as far as confidence building, but they also need more work just from a physiological standpoint. So we're going to have her do 6 and 4. Again, like I said, I did 5 and 3. Good strong set. Good. You'll notice she's starting to accelerate again because she's getting a little fatigued, which is actually what you want to see.
Okay. So what, 4 down?
Mm-hmm. Good. 2 more. Fight it, girl. Good. Last one. Slow. Fight it, fight it, fight it, fight it. Good.
Do you have any comments?
No. That actually felt more like the speed that I would take the bar down at a heavier weight anyway, for me, because I do move it really slow. But no, it feels good. Feels good. Just out of breath because I'm old. Send again?
No, you got a 2 in the 10. I'm gonna do ultra wides, like the legal wide.
Okay.
I'm a very, very narrow bencher. I tend to believe that the body moves as an animal, and for me, throwing a punch is a natural defense mechanism. It's how you would move in nature. This is not a natural type movement for the body to be in. This is more of a fighting position. So I think of myself as punching the bar when I bench press. Now, that being said, I know that the leverage point for improved shortened range of motion and a better leverage point is wide. So to kind of train the inefficiency that I have wide, I will drop down the weight a little bit and I'll just do a ton of repetitions, and I'll actually go out a little bit wider. A lot of guys that try to bench this way end up with pec tears, or they'll pop their pec, and the problem being they go too heavy too quickly, and those tendons, especially right here, they're just not prepared for the kind of load that you're going to put it under.
Do you also think when people talk about shortening the range of movement and benching to the highest point and all the rest of it, which is great,
yeah.
But if that's not your strongest position, if that's not your strongest point, it makes no sense to go there.
Exactly. So something a lot of people notice about me is I bench very, very flat backed and very, very little leg drive. Now, after 18, almost 19 years of training, when I want to do those things, I can do them. So I train with the purpose to lengthen my stroke and minimize the leverage point. So I'm actually getting stronger through the movement. And when it comes about 5-6 weeks out, I start arching to what I can. I start using my leg drive, and the combination of the strength gain plus the added leverage gain will show improvement on the platform. Whereas if you get to a point where you're such a specialist of ultra arching and having this ultra leg drive, I think when you get to the meet, let's say you have a perfect training day, but after your squat, your back cramps. What if you can't arch your back to that position? Or what if you tweak your knee or something like that? So I try to get as strong as I possibly can in the least leverage beneficial position, and then as the meet gets closer, practice more of a comp style setting on the bench press using the leg drive and the arch. I know that's not a popular idea, and I would not recommend that for most people, but for an intermediate or above intermediate to advanced lifter, if you're kind of stuck on the bench press, that's something you can employ to maybe get yourself over a hurdle. Just making the movement a little bit longer and a little more difficult, and adding those things in as you get close to the comp.
So when you do arch, I have a really painful relationship with that word, because I don't think you should arch. I think you should stern.
That's essentially what it is for me.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm a fat guy, or maybe because I have a slight scoliosis. But I'm never going to be a guy that is arched really highly off the bench. What you're going to see is I have a nearly flat foot position. I actually bench press in Olympic shoes to have a flat position, and then I create the height by pulling my shoulder blades together. That gives me height here, and then I dig my traps in, and I push my stomach upward, and I push my legs to push me back. So many people think about doing leg drive pushing down. All that's going to do is elevate the butt off the bench.
I think I love you a little bit more.
But if you think about rotating backwards, what you're going to do, if you're already high, when you push the legs back, you're going to rotate yourself more. Simple question to prove that this is a more beneficial way: have a guy lay down or a girl lay down and bench flat versus a decline. I tell all my lifters, don't push up, push towards your feet. That's how you push in a decline position. The same thing, if you can create this kind of leverage position and push towards your feet, you're maximizing that tricep hit just like you would in a decline position, and you're going to get more pounds out of it.
I told you. I'm a girl. I'll pay you later for saying that, thank you.
No problem. So again, this is just ultra wide, legal grip. Just some repetition movement to try to get some blood in there. Get some, because I had some tendon issues in the pec, so I'm trying to strengthen that so the overall pec is stronger. Just slightly outside the ring.
Yeah.
11, 12, whatever it was. You'll notice she's on, I'm off, she's on, I'm off. You know, it's important for powerlifters, especially as you get heavier. Most guys don't like to do a lot of cardio. You can create a cardio type environment just by moving quickly. And today, like I said, this would normally be a little bit heavier, but because she's fresh off a comp and I'm starting the cycle, for me this is going to be a little bit lighter, a little more repetition. That in and of itself can get the heart rate up as well. Yeah. But this, I'm thinking about how I come down on the bench press. So when I come down, I'm trying to come down in that same plane and access the lats in that same type of movement. Good. Work. Work. Come on. Something I'm really big on, and I haven't talked about it very much online, but it's something that I firmly believe in, is forced adaptation. Doing your lats every day, doing hamstrings every day. As creatures, as animals, we're designed to move, we're designed to lift and run. So our bodies can do a lot of work. And if you don't think that you'll create forced adaptation, look at a mechanic's hands. Over time, he has to turn wrenches to provide for his family. And what will happen is the palm will thicken, the fingers will thicken. Why can't the same concept apply to a lat or a hamstring or any number of things? I'm squatting every single day with the intention of waking up my quads after the surgeries that I've had, 11 surgeries, and I'm squatting every day. Not because I think it's a superior way to do things, but at the same time, I'm trying to force my legs to adapt to a level of what they were. And by doing small things every single day, they've grown, they've gotten stronger, and my legs feel better overall. So maybe sometimes the answer is not the optimal or the exact thing that you should do. It's just more and more over time, and then ride them out every single day. All right, let's do some palm placing work.
Yep.
What I'm trying to do here is like on the lat, how I was trying to move in the same way. I'm trying to think about how to best access my triceps in the same plane that I would move my bench press. So there's going to be kind of a rotational movement to get the triceps and the shoulders going.
Nice, keep them going. Squeeze. Come on, pull back up, come on. Squeeze them up. Finish them up. Come on. Come on, finish it up.
Good. See, she's getting pink on the back of her triceps. She's getting a lot of blood in there. Good, come on, girl. Good.
How you doing?
Yeah. The side benefit of that movement, where are you feeling that beside your triceps?
Hand packs.
Yeah. So everything.
Very specific, quite high up.
Yep. And that's exactly the complement It's what I was talking about with the wide grip for me. It's kind of that upper top pec tie-in. It's just one of those things, getting the body moving similarly to how it does in the bench press. So this is nothing crazy. Just a bit of a finisher. Oh, let's see. 20 and 12.
I can't remember the last time I did cable flies.
And it's something that I do in between every set. I want to recommend she does as well. Is while she's doing these, I'm just kind of squeezing the pecs together and flexing the entire time. Like, it's going to be a good 30 to 45 second contraction. Just trying to get as much blood in there as I possibly can. I know people look at this and kind of scratch their head and say this is more of a bodybuilding type movement or type routine. But in reality, if you're doing the hypertrophy work, you're building the muscle up, you're going to give more muscle to build more strength. So they go hand in hand. Plus, a goal of mine has always been to look like I lifted weights. So I may not be stage ready, but people will know that I work out. So that's always a goal of mine. Good girl, come on. In the last few sets, the last few reps, just kind of do some more. Come on, good. Good. Now, do you see what I said? Just like you're doing a kind of a most muscular. Just flex as hard as you can.
Cleavage.
All right, girl. 45 second stretch contraction for you. And we're calling it a day. And another thing that I can do too, a lot of times if I'm doing biceps and triceps, I'll kind of curl them up. Learned this from a guy that trained in prison. He'd have water bags, and he'd curl them up as tight as he could, and then press away as hard as he could, and just get to force as much blood into the arms as possible. Because a lot of guys, this is something I'll kind of finish with, they forget the biceps, you know, but the biceps are the primary stopping point for the forearm on the bench press. So if you look at guys that have got truly massive bench presses, a Kirill Sarachev, an Eric Spoto, a Scott Mendelson, on and on and on, Laszlo Mazaros. I mean, these guys have IFBB Pro biceps. You know, they're fully sticking out there, 22, 23, I think even the case of Spoto, a 24-inch arm or something like that, combined with a 19 to 20-inch forearm. So not only are you getting extra stopping power, you're getting a leverage point to build off of. And this is just something you can do every night, every single night. Going back to the 4 sets, nothing. But you do this 3 or 4 sets for 30 seconds, and your arms will be so tight you can't move them. This is just kind of something I do to finish.
Close enough come to a bicep curl for 3 years.
But honestly, dude, I want you to do 30 seconds for 3 sets like this, and just squeeze as tight as you can and push away. Push away. Imagine pulling a rope apart. That's what I always do. And I mean, I can tell you can see they've already started to get a little bit of a pump. So That for me is what I call a hypertrophy or a speed day. Very, very quick, very, very moderate weight.
The only thing really that slowed us down was talking to Alex.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
basically, Alex slowed us down.
yeah.
It's so much better.
I mean, we were under an hour with all the commentary. So that's kind of the way I like to do it, about 40 to 45 minutes. Get in, get out, break a really good sweat, get a really good pump.
That's what she said. Yeah, good.
Done?
You done?